Ooh, it's 95 degrees. Ooh, I'm feeling that. Yeah, I feel that, but the show must go on. We've got a lot to catch up on from the last week or so, so the show must go on. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric, and welcome to Out of the Groove, on the road, or in the parking lot, maybe is a better description. It's not safe to film and actually drive on busy major roads, so we're chilling in a parking lot. I don't have my studio set up because I'm bouncing between places, yada yada yada. Y'all don't need to hear that whole backstory. Point is, I'm filming this episode in my car. That's great. Production value on this show is just, so good. Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about in this episode. Going to catch up on some news from last week. I don't know where to start. Let's start with a couple of reports from our good old buddy, Adam Stern from Sports Business Journal. I say buddy, I don't actually know the guy. Adam, if you watch your show, love to have you on. We can be good friends because, man, you're always dropping all the insider knowledge, man. But let's talk about some of these reports. First thing he reported earlier this weekend, kind of out of nowhere, involving Paul Menard. His future with Wood Brothers, really in NASCAR in general, is kind of looking uncertain right now. Says here that people close to the situation in the Ford camp suggest that Paul Menard could be done racing within the next couple of years. Now, Paul Menard addressed these rumors this weekend. He did say that he has a contract with Penske Wood Brothers for next year, 2020, but after 2020, things kind of are looking uncertain for Paul Menard. Now, Paul Menard's really one big shining moment in NASCAR came in 2011 when he won the Brickyard 400 driving for RCR, kind of a big underdog upset victory, huge for him and that team at the time. But since then, Paul Menard is kind of just been a field filler, really. That's kind of harsh to say because he's been on decent race teams and he's contended for top 10s, top 15s on a pretty regular basis, but nobody really talks about him. I feel like he's generally underperformed slightly in most all the equipment he's been in. So Paul Menard, he's just there. A large reason he has a good ride like this 21 car is because of his tie to Menards, the company who sponsors a large portion of his races and is also a sponsor for Penske. So Paul Menard, he's going to be racing next year, it sounds like, from what he said. He's probably going to be with Wood Brothers again for another year in that 21 car. But after that, all bets are off. That 21 car is a good looking ride. I've seen reports that suggest maybe Austin Cindric, who is a driver in the Xfinity series for Penske right now, he could end up in that ride. I don't know how I feel about that. He would not be my first choice, but that's he's got ties within the company, within the organization. I'm sure Austin Cindric, from a sponsor standpoint, I'll bet Penske's going to have a good incentive to put Austin Cindric in that car at some point. Because remember, Wood Brothers and Team Penske, not technically the same team, but they do have a pretty tight alliance. But yeah, that's some interesting news. Kind of came out of nowhere. Really haven't been thinking about Paul Menard's long-term future. More sponsorship-related news from Adam Stern. He tweeted yesterday that Monster Energy is in talks with NASCAR to possibly extend their title sponsorship deal to some extent, and they could also be sticking with Chip Ganassi Racing. Now, this is interesting timing because obviously Kurt Busch won the race the other day. Big win for him. First win for Chip Ganassi Racing with Monster Energy on the hood, so a big deal there. Monster Energy, from the looks of it, is in talks to possibly extend their partnership with Chip Ganassi. I would say if Kurt Busch decides to extend his deal, remember Kurt Busch's contract is up after 2019, it sounds like Ganassi would like Kurt Busch to stay, but if Kurt doesn't want to, that could mean Monster might not sponsor a car. But if Kurt Busch opts to stay for another year or two or however many years, sounds to me, if I had to guess, I think Monster Energy would like to stay with Kurt Busch in some capacity. Now, NASCAR is planning on moving away from the traditional title sponsorship kind of deal that they've been working forever, with Winston, then with Nextel Sprint, and now Monster Energy. That's not what NASCAR is planning next year. In 2020, it's probably just going to be called the NASCAR Cup Series or the NASCAR Premier Series. A few names have been tossed around. There will not be one single title sponsor in NASCAR anymore. Monster Energy is in the third year of their deal. From what I've heard, they've gotten kind of a reduced rate compared to what Sprint and Nextel were paying, but it sounds like NASCAR now is moving towards a sponsorship model that would kind of have 4 or 5 big companies sort of share the title sponsorship role. I know we've heard that Geico is interested, Coca-Cola is interested, so it's, Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of NASCAR, Geico, the official insurance provider of NASCAR, Monster Energy could possibly stay on as the official energy drink of NASCAR. That's what this report seems to be saying, in my opinion. Could be interesting. Would love to see, obviously, you'd like to see a sponsor stay in NASCAR and support them in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, Monster Energy, likely it's not going to be called the Monster Energy Cup Series next year, if I had to guess. It sounds like NASCAR is moving towards a new sponsorship format. But yeah, there's your fun sort of sponsorship-related news for the week. Oh great, this girl just pulled up and parked right next to me. Oh gosh, don't look at the camera. Nothing to see here, just a guy sitting in a parking lot, texting on his phone. Yeah. Okay, bye. Good to see you. So the last thing I want to cover in today's episode, now there is some other news that I might catch up on later this week, but the last thing I wanted to address in this episode actually was kind of reported on, was discussed about a week ago when I was out of town, so I couldn't talk about it then. But NASCAR executives have come out recently and said pretty bluntly that they are pleased with what they've seen from this 2019 high downforce, low horsepower aero package. I know we're talking about the P word again. Sorry, Kyle. I've got to do it. There's a USA Today article that was actually written by Bob Pockris where Steve O'Donnell basically gave his opinion on what he's seen with the package this year, and he said it passes the eye test. Steve O'Donnell pointed out the recent Chicagoland finish between Alex Bowman and Kyle Larson, where the two of them were actually able to swap the lead multiple times there in just the last few laps. He pointed out that as kind of an example of what this package was supposed to do. NASCAR's also been citing some specific data. They say that in 2019, every race has averaged about 36.1 passes for the lead under green, compared to only 25.2 passes for the lead under green last season. So that's an improvement, I guess, more passing for the lead. They also say that of the first 18 races this year, 12 of them have seen more green flag passes than the year before, including all 6 intermediate, this is before Kentucky, all 6 of the intermediate mile-and-a-half races have seen more passing this year than last year. This is according to NASCAR's data. Don't exactly know where they're getting this data, how they judge what a green flag pass is, but this is according to NASCAR, and I'd say, at least at those intermediate tracks especially, I think they're probably right. So yeah, in this USA Today article, Steve O'Donnell says that the package has passed the eye test for him, and he says that the majority of fans he's talked to have been pretty supportive of what they've seen with this package so far. He did say that he was a little surprised about how poorly the package performed at Pocono, which is, in my opinion, easily the worst race this year with the aero package. I know they're adding some more PJ1, some grip stuff to the track when we go there in a few weeks. I don't think it's going to make it much better. I still think Pocono is going to suck, which it's unfortunate, but it just is the way it is. The article also mentions that NASCAR's got some tire tests coming up. They're maybe going to experiment with different tires that might work better with this aero package, because that has been one issue at a lot of mile-and-a-halfs this year. Tire wear, it just isn't there. There just isn't nearly as much tire wear as there has been in years past, and so there might be something there. They might be working on something to try and tweak that slightly. I'll give you guys my reaction to all these comments at the very end here, but Bob Pockris also mentions in this article that NASCAR might not have the Gen 7 ready until 2022. He mentions that 2021 or 2022 both seem like real possibilities for that car at this point. NASCAR said publicly they are going to have it done by 2021 for the start of the 2021 season. We've all said on this show, and pretty much everywhere I look, people are kind of skeptical, like, I don't think they're going to get it done in time. If they push it to 2022, I wouldn't be disappointed. I think that might be the smarter decision, honestly. Take their time with it. O'Donnell also said that they're listening to driver feedback, and they want to kind of add side force to the cars that allows drivers to get other drivers loose, which I don't know how I feel about those comments. Side force is always kind of a buzzword, a scary word. I don't like that word, but I do like the idea of making the cars looser and harder to drive if they can do that and still keep the 550 horsepower, because that's what sounds like that's going to be the kind of the idea going forward, is 550 horsepower, because that's what NASCAR believes will attract more manufacturers. I think they probably will attract another manufacturer before too long if they go with 550, but if you can make it 550 and keep the cars kind of more on edge, that'd be great, but the word side force always makes me a little nervous there. Last thing here, and this is the quote that got, I think, a lot of people kind of riled up, a week and a half ago. Steve Phelps, president of NASCAR, had this to say when asked about whether or not full throttle racing was good to have in the Cup Series. He said, "We are looking for the most entertaining racing that we can put out there. That is what we are trying to do. And if that means full throttle racing, that's the package we're going to put out there." That's the quote that got a lot of people upset, because a lot of people don't see full throttle racing like that. They just think it's Daytona. And I think everybody knows Daytona driver skill, at least the traditional driver skill that we're used to talking about, is not evident, is not put on full display at Daytona or Talladega, and that's full throttle racing. So that's what's got people riled up, because full throttle racing takes away a major component of what makes NASCAR drivers as good as they are. So I understand fans not liking that quote, not liking that word being used, but at the same time, I also understand where Steve Phelps is coming from. NASCAR is a spectator sport, and if you're going to be a spectator sport, you need to be entertaining to watch. People need to want to watch your product. And the truth is, mile-and-a-half races this year with this aero package have been very fun to watch, very entertaining more often than not. Most of the mile-and-a-halves this year have been great, have been very fun to watch. Jeff Gluck has that "Was it a good race" poll he runs on Twitter after each race, and if you look this season, it gets thousands of votes, thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of votes. And if you look this season, a lot of the top races that people are liking the most are the intermediate tracks. I mean, look at Chicagoland, Kansas, the All-Star race. When on earth was the All-Star race up there so highly highly. People don't like the All-Star race. The All-Star race was a joke a few years ago. Now here it is at the top of his list because these mile and a halves have become must-see events if you're a NASCAR fan. This package was built to make the mile and a halves more watchable, and it's completely achieved that. So I understand Steve Phelps, where he's coming from here, saying that NASCAR needs to put out an entertaining product, because it does. NASCAR is a spectator sport. Like I said, if the product is not entertaining, the sport will not survive. It certainly won't survive at the scale it's at right now. Now with this package, NASCAR's not fake racing. It's not rigged. It's not staged, you know. Competition is still there. The best drivers and teams are still winning almost every single week. You know, the competition aspect is still there. The racing is different. It looks different. It definitely feels different, but it's still racing. I've seen some people criticize NASCAR saying they're all about entertainment now. They don't care about the integrity of the sport, and I don't understand that. The competition has not changed. The best drivers still win almost every single week. Look at the guys who are winning this year. Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano. I mean, these are some of the best guys, best teams in the sport. If Kyle Busch was consistently running 25th with this package, then yeah, we'd have a pretty big problem, I'd say. But no, Kyle Busch is still winning more races than anybody right now. This package is still competitive, it still rewards competition, and it hasn't changed any of that. So I'm gonna go back to the same argument I've kind of been falling back on for months and months, years now. Times have changed. People are not as interested in cars as they once were. People's attention spans are shorter, for better or worse. NASCAR has to adapt to these changes or they're eventually gonna become completely irrelevant. Compared to all other motorsports, what sets NASCAR apart? The large-scale, huge tracks, the big packs, the drafting, the side-by-side racing, the bumping, the rubbing. Rubbing's racing, that's all NASCAR. That is what NASCAR was built on. That is what sets NASCAR apart from any other major motorsport. And with this Aero package this year, NASCAR has amplified that. We see more rubbing. We see more side-by-side racing. We see more pack racing at the big tracks, the big-scale racing, the big-scale tracks. This package this year has just amplified all the things that set NASCAR apart from IndyCar or F1 or IMSA or any other type of racing out there. Some fans aren't going to like it because it's not the NASCAR they grew up with, and that's unfortunate, but times have to change. You know, TV ratings are up this year. Fans are falling back in love with some of the mile and a half racing, and I think that's good news for the sport. So I understand why people are upset with Steve Phelps' comments there, but I think at the same time, you got to understand where he's coming from. You have to be entertaining these days, or else no one's going to watch your product, and if no one watches your product, there's no money, and if there's no money, there's no sport. So at the end of the day, it may not be what everybody wants, but it's maybe just necessary to keep NASCAR in the public eye and around. NASCAR, you know, it's not invincible. NASCAR could very well die out in 10 to 15 years or something like that. It's not going to die out next year. It's not going to die out in the next 5 years, but it could eventually fade into obscurity within our lifetime, within the next couple decades. So they need to make changes. They can't just sit on their hands and not do anything and just let things continue to spiral out of control. I applaud what they've done this year, experimenting with a new package, experimenting with new tires, trying all these new things, and it seems like it's helped. Like I said, TV ratings up this year, that's a good thing. There's a newfound sense of excitement, I think, in some of the fans. I think they've honestly succeeded this year in what they set out to do, and I hope that enough fans stick around to continue to give it a chance, continue to see what happens going forward, because I think that NASCAR and stock car racing have a very bright future. So I know, guys, I haven't done very many episodes in the last week or so, so I'm kind of just rambling on and on right here, but I hope you guys are, I mean, you don't have to agree with me. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. Leave a comment. I'd be curious to know what you disagree with, but if you do agree with me, I hope you enjoyed watching, I guess. Anyway, y'all, that's all I have to say. It is hot out here. Can you guys see the sweat coming out of my hair? Can you guys see the sweat? I have the AC. I just turned the AC up on a full blast or something. Oh, I don't know if you guys can hear that. Yeah, that's loud. That's why I turned it down. But anyway, y'all, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll be back soon. I'll have some more episodes up later this week. Hopefully not all filmed in my car, but you know, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on Instagram. Big thank you to my Patreon supporters: Michael Harrison, at You As The Stars, Mentally Defective, Cameron James, John Koblenz, Jason Arlong, Wesley Donaldson, Isaac Dennison, Mika Suzuki, iFantasyRace.com, TheRacingInsiders.com, Matthew Koulopoulos, Pepe Luscious, Joey DiMachino, Emilio Garcia, Jeremy Conklin, and the rest of these incredible Patreon supporters. I couldn't do this without you guys. I promise I'll have a studio set up again pretty soon. Just kind of having to bounce all over the place and do these kind of on the run, do these episodes on the run. But thank you guys for continuing to support me. I couldn't do this without you. Good things are coming. Big things are coming. I promise. Thank you guys for listening to me ramble for 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is, in a hot car in a parking lot with people looking over my shoulder. I feel like I appreciate the support. You guys are incredible. NASCAR fans, man, are absolutely phenomenal. So I appreciate the support, and I hope you guys enjoyed the race this last weekend. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and let me know what videos you want to see later this week. I got some stuff to catch up on still from last week, but then yeah, we need some more content, man. It's the summer months, kind of dry out here, not a lot of juicy stuff coming out. We got to get some video ideas, so leave your comments down below. I look forward to reading them. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you again very, very soon. Bye-bye, y'all.